Because the revenue systems tend to be disconnected from the cost systems in most of the companies that we work with. One of the first things we do is deploy a usage-based view of historic data that says, give me every device that hasn't used data in the last 12 months.
Hmm.
We find 8, 10, 12% of devices being paid for that are not being utilized. It's an operational debt for companies that started in a way where they're really hyper focused on revenue. And yes, connectivity is a component of the cost structure, but it's one that we can manage with people. It's gotten too complex and too heavy to manage just with people and spreadsheets. You're finding this disconnect between I'm charging my customer for it or I'm deploying SIMs in my enterprise and I pull that device back in, but the SIM never gets deactivated. So it's one of our bigger things that we find on almost every customer.
Is this triggering off of like RMAs or, like
You
all
can
sorts of things?
We actually do that in what I would call like our second stage of deployment, which is when you're really doing some broader analytics around just what from the carrier data. Now,
Okay.
what that translates into is, oh yes, I definitely now want to connect my revenue system or my other inventory system, so I know that when I take a device back and shut it down, that it automatically deactivates the sum. So that's the
Yeah.
business process automation that starts to come into play where the real value is, right? Because at the end of the day, if you've got systems already in place that are tracking one part of the equation, it's just plugging them into the cost component of the equation related to the cellular SIM chips.
So how much money does this 8 to 12% translate into?
We had one customer, fairly large customer, and for them it was about $4.5 million a year.